Hello there, I'm Stuart Goldsmith, and today I'm talking to a comedian who combines wonderful flights of fancy with a gutsy, emotional core. This is the brilliant David O'Doherty. And if you're enjoying this conversation, you can download the full hour-long audio podcast from comedianscomedian.com. Here's David O'Doherty. And do you have a sense of your kind of place in the comedy? Not exactly the community, but you could look at a TV show and go, okay, there's this, say a panel show.
Yeah.
That person's doing this job. That person is being the, like you say, you know, the camp guy with the celebrity stuff. I know you kind of resist that wanting to be pigeonholed like that.
I go on some panel shows now, but for a long time I didn't because I felt uncomfortable, but because I didn't know how to be on it. But now I've sort of realised the sort of things that I talk about. And I'm able to articulate them, and I'm also to stick fairly defiantly to the things that So if I'm on a panel show and they start talking about the celebrity dancing show, whereas before I would have panicked and tried to make a joke about something that I knew about. Now I'm very happy to go, I seem to be born with that part of the brain that doesn't care whether these people can dance.
Okay.
And what you find inevitably is because everyone's been going like, ooh, wasn't he fabulous last weekend? I didn't know. And then if you say that, a sizable part of the audience go, ha, yes, idiots.
Okay.
So Joe Wilkinson and I are very rarely booked on the same. Do you know Joe Beardy, similar to this? He's the English model of this. No, he's brilliant. And
he's a great guy.
He and I, we feel, are always booked for the same role on TV panel shows.
Okay.
We're nearly always seated on the extreme left. And our job is when everyone is bogged down making Ed Balls jokes. So the host goes, David/Joe. And we've worked out that our definitive joke is to go, sorry, I wasn't listening. Does anyone know how dry cleaning works?
Yeah.
And I'm very proud to be that person.
Yeah. That's funny that you can even identify a seat where you sit, because I'm sure that is in the producer's manual.
I bet that's.
We need the hairy wild card. That's, you know.
Yeah, and don't never have two hairy wild cards on the same show. The ratings will explode. I'm able to go on those shows now. You know, I've been on QI and Would I Lie to You and 8 out of 10 Cats and just be myself on them. And, you know, on most of those shows, you don't do any homework. You don't have to do any homework. And if you do, you read the paper and that's fine.
Sure.
And so you sort of figure out what they're probably going to talk about. But it's not a situation, like there's other panel shows that are very tightly scripted. And I can sort of do jokes, but not really. It's more, my jokes tend to be, I say the thing and then the audience go, oh, is that what he finds funny? Wow. You know, and that's the laugh, which probably it doesn't score big points on TV.
Okay. Do you have principles, or do you have an idea of something that strikes you as being particularly you in terms of material? Do you see certain subjects and go, that's a thing that suits me?
I normally turn things back onto myself in that I don't have much to say. You know, I have political opinions and things like that, but the idea of making jokes about making sort of traditional satirical jokes has never really occurred to me. I just prefer to turn it around and then talk about my perception of a thing. I'm trying to think of an example. Ask me another question. I'll think of an example.
So when you first came to Edinburgh, you were in the kind of vanguard of acts that included people like Andy Zaltzman and Josie Long, and people that kind of, certainly with Josie and to an extent yourself as well, you kind of became labelled as whimsical. Do you know what I mean? It's like it was sort of like a subset of alternative.
Yeah, it's a stick that's sort of used to beat you, the old whimsy.
It's a very gentle beating, presumably.
But I remember seeing a show a few years. So the reason it comes back to it doesn't haunt me. I'm absolutely fine with it. Is I describe sometimes off stage I would go, "Are you ready for very low energy musical whimsy? Make some noise." And so I just found the idea of it so funny. And then I remember seeing a couple of years later some comedian had come here, and on their poster it said like no guaranteed no whimsy.
Sure.
Like one of the tough leather jacket comedians had said that. But like what is whimsy is just flight of fancy, but it's flight of fancy of any kind whatsoever. Like the idea of what we do, unless you're delivering pure facts with graphs to back it up, you are doing something slightly whimsical.
Sure.
and also, yeah, '02 was the year where I came here with a show that was, I'd been a bit sad and tried to write a show about it. God, I mean, yeah. And I met just a bunch of people. I met Kitson, I met Concords, I met Taika Waititi, who's movie director now, met Zaltzman, met John Oliver, met Josie Long. Or I'd met her before, but we were all just trying to figure out a kind of a thing that we wanted to do. And it didn't quite fit with what was successful around then, because none of us were. I guess you could categorize it as sort of quite low status individuals. As in, we didn't walk out with smoke machines, and if we did shout from off stage with something ironic about the like, get ready to try and stay awake for an hour.
Sure.
You know, like, because this room is bullshit, ladies and gentlemen. You know, and that was, whereas before, that was the start of shiny floor comedy that we see on TV now. So it was like people in tailored suits coming out and bowing and getting the adulation. That was never a thing I wanted to do. You know, my father's a jazz musician, and so jazz is like the opposite of that. Do you see, in those comedians that we've named, do you see a sort of reflection of your styles in each other's work? Because there are sort of similarities. Like a common trope of that kind of gang is to treat something gentle and meandering and whimsical as if it's, you know, like a rap battle, like, you know, or something like to kind of pretend you're Notorious B.I.G. talking about a unicorn. Yeah, I mean that's pretty low, what you've just said.
It's something that's copied a lot now, and I think it originated with Kitson and with you doing Late and Live.
Yeah,
that whole thing of going strap in, buckle up.
Yeah,
but now,
yeah.
Every idiot in tight jeans is going strap in, but without a sense of why.
Right. Yeah. I guess we were. Yeah. That's a good point. I mean, I've always felt that I was trying to say something reasonably profound. You know, I've never done a show that was just a load of jokes and we're just trying to fill the time with talking about, you know, fairy lights and bunting, which was sort of the perception I think people who never came to the shows, or some people who reviewed it, would have had around the time of like, where is he from? I don't know, but I'd like to visit it. You know, I always tried to talk about the things that were important. It's just that those things manifest themselves as the tale of a suicidal lobster, which was the first show in here, or whatever it was then. So, you know, none of that was very tough. I remember we were referred to once as, because everyone else was getting really drunk backstage at Late and Live, and we used to go over and get to Favorite across the road from here and get milkshakes. We were called the Chocolate Milk Gang, which isn't something you see, I think, Glenn Wool or someone like that.
Who, for people who don't know Glenn Wool, he very much typifies the...
Well, he was certainly then. He was like mega party dude then. I remember Andrew Maxwell.
so even your use of the phrase mega party dude firmly establishes you as a chocolate milk guy.
I remember Maxwell, who's a friend of mine. Andrew Maxwell was just a sort of much more alpha character, brackets shorter, than me, and he once said to John Oliver, "You lads, you've always got bags." Because we, like, as in a backpacker, a satchel, which probably had like jokes, like books, and it's like, "What's in your bags?" Like there was something going on. Just we have effigies of you, and we have ceremonies that you're not allowed to come to. But it's fine. There's it's just through doing that, I guess it's just been this nice build of like doing the 12 shows. I have more people have come every year, so people have identified with whatever kind of soft cock bullshit comedy I do. That was me being self-depreciating. I think it's brilliant.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, remember you can like it, subscribe to it, or share it with a friend. And of course, you can download the full audio podcast from comedianscomedian.com. Thanks a lot.